What's going on, Bigger Pockets? Matt Faircloth. So today we're going to talk about one of the favorite new investor topics, which is three little letters, LLC. And LLC stands for Limited Liability Company, and it's something that is a great vehicle for small companies and mostly for real estate investments. It is a phenomenal piece of asset protection and entity that needs to get used to protect you. And 90% of the time, even like 99% of the time, an LLC is the right vehicle to use. I get emails from so many people and so many folks that want to talk about whether or not they should set up an LLC for their real estate investing activities. And most of the time, the answer is simple. It's yes. You know, and if you already have properties that are out of an LLC, they're in your personal name, then yes. If you want to build your business and if you want to be someone that owns quite a bit of real estate, or 20, 30, 40, 50 units, then most likely you need to take the three that you have now out of your personal name through a quick claim deed and then refinance them into a mortgage that's not on your personal name. And there's a few reasons for that. Number one is because of asset protection. If somebody slips and falls and sues you in front of the, because they did a slip and fall or whatever, it's very hard for them to get to you personally, although most likely they're just going to sue you and your insurance company's going to pick that up. But there's a just in case that they could try and get to you personally and get to your personal assets and your personal bank accounts and your other companies and everything else that's hiding behind the LLC, right? So the LLCs are good for asset protection because they provide a corporate veil, that's what it's called. That's for someone that it's hard for them to get through to get to your other stuff. So that's why people use LLCs. A second reason why people use LLCs is that if you're putting your name on a mortgage, personally guaranteeing a mortgage for a property that you're purchasing that's in an LLC, if I run your credit, I'm not going to see that mortgage on your credit. So although I'm going to see the bank that gave you that loan, I'm going to see them pull your credit just to check it. I'm going to see a credit check, a pull. I'm not going to see the actual mortgage as a recorded document that's on your credit. If the property's in your personal name and the mortgage is in your personal name, I will see that. And I've seen people, this happened to me when I first got started, that I had so many mortgages in my personal name, and it wasn't that much, it was maybe like 4 or 5. I had that many mortgages in my personal name that it was very hard to borrow more money, even for stuff that was in an LLC. So it'll benefit you if you have stuff that's in your personal name, that is, and mortgages that are in your personal name as well. It'll benefit you to get that stuff out of your personal name and into something in an LLC, because it'll take it off your credit report, number one. And number two, it'll give you that level of protection, which I debate on whether or not the level of protection is really there if you have really great insurance, but we can discuss that in the notes further. But bottom line, LLCs are great if you're going to build a big business, because it's just a better way to grow is through an LLC. You can only get it so big owning stuff in your personal name. That said, here is why you should not put things in an LLC in certain circumstances, right? That's a good thing I keep other markers around, right? So when you should not use an LLC on your purchase. I gave a brief rundown on why LLCs are great. These are times when you should not use them, okay? Here is number one, is when you're doing on Bigger Pockets what we call a house hack. Okay, house hack is where you live in your rental property. It should be done. House hacks should be done if it's a 1, 2, 3, or 4 unit. A house hack was my very first rental property. I lived in a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath townhouse, and I had 2 of my friends live with me in the house. Right, they both had their own bedrooms, and they paid rent to me for living in the house with me. Right, so that's a house hack. That's what I did. I recommend to a lot of new investors, if you're not, married with a bunch of kids and you can figure it out how to make it happen, live in a duplex or a triplex or a quad, live in one unit, buy it, and then you can live there as a house hack. And most likely, if you play your cards right, you can live there for free or at a very low expense, or even if you play your cards really well, you can make money and have no living expenses living in the property. It is a phenomenal way to get started. The reason why house hacks should not be held ever in an LLC is strictly because of the financing aspect around them. If you go to a bank and say, I'm going to put this property I'm going to live in 123 LLC and I'm going to live there, you don't get access to the phenomenal mortgages that are available for people that are going to live in a property, such as an FHA mortgage, low money down, first time home buyer mortgage. For a house hack, you can get money at between 3 and 5%. You can get that much down you can lay that kind of money down to buy your house hack. So if you're going to buy a property for $200,000 at 3%, that's a $6,000 deposit. You can probably get the seller to pay part of your closing costs or a seller assist. More on that on Bigger Pockets, but for very little money, for like $6,000, you could buy a nice property and live in it. No way you're doing that with an LLC. If you approach a bank with an LLC to buy this property, you're going to lay somewhere around, say, 20 to 25% down, which is like $40,000 to $50,000. So which would you rather pay for that duplex, triplex for $200,000? $6,000, and then you get to live there, or $40,000 to $50,000, right? Obviously, I'll take the $6,000, but you can only do it but so often. You have to hold the property in your own personal name if it's a house hack and you're going to be living in the property. So house hacks are when you want to not use an LLC. Do not do it. It's going to cost you $40,000 to $50,000 to buy a $200,000 property versus $6,000. I'll take this $6,000, right? That's number one. So the next one is if you're loaning someone money. Like I said before, I'll debate this with you, but there's no reason why if you are a lender, that you have to be in an LLC. The liability issue is not there. The liability on the property, like slip and fall or major liability issues, that's all on the borrower. That's what's great about being a lender, by the way, because you're passing all the risk on to the borrower. As the lender, you don't really have any risk. As I understand it, and again, let's debate in the notes, there are no tax advantages to lending money out of an LLC. It's a pass-through entity, so for whatever you gain in your loan proceeds and your interest and stuff like that, it's all taxable. You can write off very little against it, and there's nothing you can write off on a loan that I understand that's against your income on a loan that you can't do if you're lending personally in your own name, okay? The only thing I've seen happen to lenders that lend personally is you can look in public records to find out who a lender is, and I've seen people get solicitations to their personal name to say, hey, I see you lent to Joe Smith on this property. Wouldn't you love to lend to me on my property over here? It's gonna happen to you if you're in an LLC as well. So again, I've not thought of a good reason why lending should be in an LLC. Again, let's debate it. I'm in. Get your dukes up and let's have a conversation. But if you're lending money, I don't think you need to have an LLC. Don't bear the expense. The other one is if you're investing in a PPM. This is the last one. A PPM, a syndication. I talk a lot about this in my book, Raising Private Capital. But if you're investing as a limited partner in someone else's company, there's no reason this investment needs to be through an LLC. I have a lot of people that invest with us, and I've seen other people raise private placement memorandums and investments and stuff like that in syndications. And a lot of their investors that I've heard of for other people's stuff and for our stuff as well are investing through an LLC. But the main reason for that is because this LLC that they're investing with is involved in other activity as well. And one thing that it's doing is investing in your private placement memorandum project, your syndicate, your apartment building deal that you're putting together. It's investing in that while it also holds some rentals, while it also owns some tax liens, while it also owns other stuff, right? But if you are just first time investing in a syndication deal on an apartment complex or on a strip center, whatever it is, there's no reason why you need to start up an LLC. There's not. You know why? Because the syndicator that's putting this together is forming an LLC. So you're buying into a company. You're buying into an LLC. So you get to enjoy the benefits of that LLC's protection in that LLC's insurance policy, and all the other tax benefits of that LLC are already there for you. So there's no reason to form your own LLC because you already have all the tax benefits, all the asset protection stuff is already there for you in being a part of a syndication to begin with by definition, by the way that they're set up, okay? So that's why you don't need to do it here. So lending money, private placement memorandums, and syndications, and a house hack. I'd be willing to bet there are other places in real estate investing that you don't have to use an LLC. And there's probably even people that are wild westy out there that would tell me that they buy a bunch of, I've met one guy that has 200 rentals in his own personal name. Nuts, doesn't have a lot of mortgages, and gets a lot of his mortgages through banks and stuff like that. Guy does really well for himself, so hey, God bless if you got that kind of money. Maybe you don't need to do it. But I don't agree with that, but I think that there's maybe some other ways that you guys could point out to me in the notes on other places of business that you don't have to have an LLC in place. Let's discuss it. I want to go there with you guys. Come on, let's talk about it in the notes. Thank you for watching, guys. That's what I got for you today. Have a great, profitable week.